Okay. Let's see. Do I have everything?
I think we're live. I
I
see a
think
live
we,
button.
okay, I think we are live. Yes, we are. Welcome, everybody. I am Erin. I am so excited to be here today with Megan Sillito. She is one of the most incredible humans I've had the pleasure of spending time with. She is a incredible coach, innovator, and really helping revolutionize, I think, the way that we look at the world and how we can show up differently, in a different way, and look at, I think, maybe old problems in a new way, and help us, I think, really find ourselves and re-regulate ourselves. So I am on a mission to just bring consciousness into the world and help individuals up level, and finding individuals that I've partnered up with that have really changed my life. So it's such a privilege and such an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you, Erin. I'm so excited to be on whatever it is that we're on right now. We're both technically challenged. So I just know that maybe I'm public and somebody's listening. So I got to keep myself together here. So I love something you said right before we went live. And you said something about let's regulate the world. And
Yes.
I think that's really apropos for our conversation today. It's like, yeah, I feel really called to that. I mean, I've been a coach coming into my 30th year, and I was doing really deep healing work and transformation work, 30 years ago before life coaching was even a thing. And my first training was in something called rapid eye therapy, which is a phenomenal tool. If you guys, anybody's watching this has trauma, like look up rapid eye technology and find a tech in your area. It's very reasonably priced and it will move trauma like nobody's business. But in the early days, we didn't understand the nervous system in the same way. We understood rapid eye understood PTSD in a way that the medical community didn't, and was getting results that the medical community, all they used to do for PTSD is throw drugs at it,
Yep.
and but as I progressed and added coaching and added genius work and all the things I added to that beautiful foundation of rapid eye technology, is that people, all of us have trauma. All of us have PTSD. I don't
Yep.
know anybody, like even people who haven't had a lot of challenge in their lives, there's something where, their system skitzed out, like, a car accident, something like that. And the thing is it doesn't really matter what the trauma is. It then starts to map over to other areas of our life. So you might have a dysregulation with money based on a car accident. Like because dysregulation is dysregulation. And so, after years of doing high performance coaching, my specialty is working with, I would say, very creative, sensitive people, entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, musicians, artists of the like, that there's a different process for success when you're either very sensitive or spectrum sensitive or any of that,
Mhm.
than what is being taught in traditional coaching and personal growth and development work. Most of that's very linear, and most highly creative sensitive people, they don't operate in that linear way, and they also have the trauma that birthed the gifts, but it also birthed another problem with that. And so that's been my work for the past 29 years, is working in that field. And so the last couple years I've taken a deep dive into the vagus nerve.
Mhm.
And for those people who don't know, it's really the main part of your nervous system, and there's three parts of it. There's your rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic. And then there's a sympathetic nervous system, which has an upregulation side, which is the fight or flight, and it has a downregulation side, which is freeze fawn. And as we continue our conversation, I'm going to talk more about that, because so much of what we knew and what we'd been trying to help people process was the fight or flight. But there's a whole host of problems that go with the demobilized state of freeze and fawn that people aren't, it's just coming into our conversation, like the issues with health that causes, the issues with like the inability to create, the inability to move forward, those kinds of things. And so the last couple of years I realized that I had some dysregulation going on, and it was impacting everything. And so I kind of been returning to my roots, but from a different angle, and understanding that we actually can't get to high performance with a dysregulated nervous system. And
Yep.
even if we can touch it, even if we can touch high performance, we can't sustain it.
That's such a great point. And how, for those of you now joining us, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. And how I found Megan, we kind of touched points at different points for the last several years, but it's kind of along that line where it's like you do all this work. And I think being one of those people you just described and going, okay, why isn't this working? I've tried everything, I followed and really said, okay, there's something that's missing that I have not yet quite figured out, and you brought up at one point, I don't know where you brought this up at, but just even our bodies and the amount of information that we are inundated with on a daily basis with Facebook, all the things we have now, we're so interconnected. Our bodies weren't really designed for that much information overload.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did a 30-day nervous system reset with you through the month of May, and really was transformational for me, because you don't even realize, like, it's the unawareness of just what's happening in your body that you're bringing awareness to. So there's more going on. So stick around. There's more going on than what you really know, or what you think is really going on is maybe actually not what's really going on. Because I think we're given so much information of like, just do this, or just think happy thoughts, and happy thoughts are going to manifest into happy results. And, your thoughts become things, but there's so many more layers to the discussion that aren't, I think, being talked about, of what needs to be included in that, versus just, here's how I manifest. I'm just going to have this happy, I'm lacking, so I'm going to manifest. I'm going to think I'm going to make $1 million this year, whatever the examples are out there. But it's like, there's so much more that has to align for you to receive that.
Well, it also can really mess you up, because if you, I think a lot of us who are aware understand, like our focus is very important. What we focus on is creative, and we don't help our nervous system by spinning out in negative thinking, but you cannot out mindset dysregulation. I'm going to say that again. You can't out mindset dysregulation. What do I mean by that? If you're hijacked by your nervous system is tapped, like, right? Part of the aspect, what happens in our bodies is there's all this energy. We're not mobilizing our fight or flight. We're just kind of sitting in it, or we're not mobilizing when we're in freeze mode. And so where does the energy go? For most of us, it goes up in our brain, and it creates racy thoughts. And so what I see a lot in this sort of positive thought movement is everybody's trying to outthink those racy thoughts. And if I can just put enough positive on that, then it will change it. But I've never seen that work. Einstein said you can't solve a problem from the same level of mind that created the problem. So thinking is actually the problem. Just trying to put happy thoughts is, as you're trying to run away from scary thoughts, creates kind of this weird loop of, so on the days you can make positivity great, but mostly you can't. And then you feel like a failure, like you failed personal growth and development. And then we add that to that. But when you're dysregulated, part of that is racing thoughts. And when you regulate your nervous system, those thoughts just shift. You don't have to try to think positive, because what will happen is you will drop into the rest and digest state, and your thinking will naturally be more real time, creative, intuitive. Your thoughts are going to naturally be more in the direction of positivity. And if you don't regulate your nervous system, you could be chasing that hamster on the wheel for decades. I've seen people who are so dysregulated and they're still trying to outthink their dysregulation, and it's like, the problem is, I want to say this last thing. Well, I'll say more things, but I'll give you a turn. When you're dysregulated, you said this earlier, that you feel like we're working against yourself. Well, I want to see exactly what's happening there.
Okay.
When you're regulated, your nervous system is putting out this fear signal. And that fear signal, how do animals respond to fear? It either angers us or we run from it because we think there's danger. So if you have a business and you're going online to share with the people and your nervous system is dysregulated, you're literally sending out the signal that will push people away. Even though you're saying, come here, you're pushing them away at the same time. So you're working against yourself. So it's kind of like you're doing this in the world of creation. And it's like, you cannot attract partners or people or players that could maybe support you in moving past where you are from that dysregulated state. And so my new motto is regulate first. Then let's look at creation. Then let's look. And the truth is, I do a lot of couples work, and because sensitives tend to have high conflict in their relationships, I'm like, if you start seeing the signs of dysregulation, shut up. Get your nervous systems regulated before you say another damn word, because anything that comes out of your mouth in that place is not going to be productive. And essentially, Erin, and this is like lights on, lights off, pregnant, not pregnant. You're either in a primal state or you're in a power state. So why would you try to live and create from a primal state? But most people actually don't even know they're in a primal state. I've been a freaking coach. I've been trained in working with PTSD, and I didn't know I was dysregulated. You've got to really look at some of the signs are very, very subtle that you're in dysregulation.
What would you say are signs, like for our audience listening today, like to say, okay, what are signs that you are dysregulated? Like, what would those indicators be? Like, I loved your example of like an argument, whether that's with a spouse or a parent or a kid or whomever, when you're like, I need to shut this down.
My mouth.
But like, but it's interesting. I was like, I probably should have stopped like 2 sentences ago.
Yeah. Have you ever had that experience of like, oh, I'm talking and I can't shut up, and I can even see what's coming out of my mouth. It's not going to be helpful, but there I am saying it. That's dysregulation, because your nervous system has taken over. And that's why I say you've been hijacked. I believe that I'm the creator of my life. I'm the creator of my life. But if you don't, where creation comes in is actually being aware of when you've been hijacked.
Okay.
Right. And then you go, okay, this is now on me to shift this. But we don't have a vote about dysregulation. Our fight or flight mechanism turns on faster than our brain.
Okay.
It's designed to work quickly so that we can get out of danger quickly. So what was happening for me was I was waking up in this sort of looking for, what did I forget to do yesterday? What did I miss? What's going to, like like this fear that something's gone wrong. There's another shoe going to drop. It was
Mhm.
very, it has happened to me over the years, but I think what I learned is I never fully got out of dysregulation. Right. But so I had gone through this very intense period of my life and it had re-triggered some of that. And so I was waking up very anxious. And by the
Mhm.
way, anxiety is a form of dysregulation. Like it's become a thing, right? A diagnostic thing. And then people put pills on it. It's just dysregulation. There's no anxiety when you're not dysregulated. Like,
Yep.
so there you go. There's that. Money issues. But if you have had chronic issues with money, meaning lots of highs, lots of lows, but you're never really gathering and creating wealth for yourself, or maybe you do have wealth, but you're always worried that it's going to leave. That's
Yes.
you're like I know a lot of people that have buttloads of money and they're just afraid of losing it, right? And I would also say there's this whole host of health issues that are connected to dysregulation that even like the functional docs are just throwing supplements and food at. And I'm sorry, you can't eat healthy enough to regulate your nervous system. Like, and then a lot of times what happens is that people that have, maybe they have high cholesterol, maybe they have liver, maybe they have adrenal stuff, maybe they have kidney stuff. All of these are part of dysregulation because our kidneys and adrenals are very connected to those functions, right? So high cholesterol is connected to nervous system dysregulation, right? So now let's say that you're dysregulated and part of how you soothe yourself is with food, and then your doctor comes and changes all that up. Then you're also tripping starvation stuff. You're tripping like the lack of comfort. You're like it's yes, I believe we need to probably upgrade our health and wellness and eat more consciously. I'm not saying that that's not a factor, but what I'm saying is we're putting the cart before the horse. I worked with a gal recently who has had all these physical problems, and basically she was down to only being able to eat 3 foods from her doctors, which was stressing her out even more. And I'm like, okay, let's go another direction here. Like
You can eat lettuce.
right,
Yeah, and then you're like, and then that's got to be overtaxing on the nervous system. I mean, our nervous system is like the information highway. I mean, we are taking so much in at any given point in time, and it's incredible. Like I think our human body is like the most, well, us as humans are like the most incredible thing ever created. And our bodies are truly, truly amazing. Like even like what's going on now between you and I, so much of like that natural intelligence of like it's just doing it without having to think.
right,
And we're
yes,
supposed to kind of be in that state of that allowance where we're not thinking. I mean, we're supposed to kind of mimic almost what goes on internal kind of within our body.
yes, yeah, exactly. So those are some very clear signs in with entrepreneurs. What I see is they're either one side or the other. They're in inaction. They tend to procrastinate and get overwhelmed by the detail. Overwhelm is another sign of dysregulation, by the
Oh,
way,
okay. That's great to know.
because overwhelm isn't a thing. It actually isn't a thing. That's actually means that you're in dysregulation. From dysregulated state, having all these things to do feels like overwhelm. But when we're in fight or flight, that part of your brain, that part of your amygdala can only see things in black and white and right and wrong, life and death.
Okay.
It's that for a reason. If you're actually in a survival situation, let's see, I got to run from the lion or punch it. Like you know what I mean? Like I got to figure out what I'm going to do and I got to do it fast. So from that binary brain, we
Hmm.
look at everything we have to do and I can't, right? It's too much. So overwhelm, inaction, or the other, which is this is something I see so much where an entrepreneur has hustled for 20, 30 years and then they hit this wall and
Hmm.
I don't want to, because where they created from was dysregulation. and they tried to outcreate their dysregulation, which maybe they had. I also did this and had some success with it. I had quite a bit of success with it. But then there's this place where our system cannot stay in that upregulated state for long periods of time without breaking down. So it will switch to the freeze. It still feels unsafe, so it'll switch to the downregulated immobile state. So what I see sometimes is that I just don't want to. Like, I'm trying so hard and I just don't want to. The other thing that I see often is that they're doing all the things, right? They're doing the lives, they're having the conversations with prospective clients, they're doing all the things, but they're not getting traction. They're talented at what they do. This is what I see a lot. They're like super talented, but nobody knows about them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that is an indication that your nervous system is working against you. So if you're doing all the things and not getting traction, it could be that your nervous system is basically pushing those possibilities and opportunities and potential clients away, because it's a very primal how we respond. And you were talking about how our bodies are talking. That's true in creativity and we're flowing. It's also true in dysregulation. Our bodies are in training all the time. And if somebody's in fear, we back up. That's just it doesn't matter how conscious you are. That's what your body's doing, you know. And
Yep.
so there's those are all the signs that you like. I've seen so many people go through the workshops, go through the coaching, and not much is changing, right? And I call it the walking wounded of the workshop world. Right. And my aha this year has been, if somebody's dysregulated, they can't take in new information.
Yep.
So
That's so
they can't
true.
cognate it. They can't connect, and they certainly can't embody and integrate it into their lives. And so it's like, it again, nervous system first, regulate first, get out of your primal brain first, before coaching, before anything else. Do that
Yep.
first.
No, you bring up such a great point. In, I guess, I'm by no means an expert in the nervous system. Like, why start with the nervous system? Like, why is that the foundational point of where to start from?
That's the foundational point of your body. If your nervous system is off, then the message is you don't walk, you don't talk, you don't function. Like, without your nervous system, we couldn't have this conversation.
Yep.
It is foundational. Everything, because that's where the messages between brain and body and brain are facilitated.
Yep.
Like, that's primal. And if that's not working, then you're not working.
No, I love that, because I think you said it earlier, with a host of issues around starting with it's like stripping the house down and I'm going back to the foundation.
Yes.
The communication highway of the body, what's connecting all of that together.
Mm-hmm.
To start there, and then I can build up, and then I can layer other things onto that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because you have a chance in hell at actually thinking a creative thought or a useful thought that might give you an idea or move something forward. But it's kind of an interesting thing, because you can have a really creative thought, even if you're dysregulated sometimes. But if you're trying to implement it from scarcity, your state of being creates your results. So if you begin in scarcity, you will end in scarcity.
Yep.
Every time. Even if it's a good idea and you get a certain distance with it, you will have to find a way to basically poke a hole somewhere else, so you're kind of ending up in the same place again. You know, I've seen this so much where people will double or triple their income and they won't have any more money at the end of the month. It's because whatever they did to create it was coming from that lack energy. So it was going to end in a deficit, even if more was created. That's kind of how it goes. So if you actually begin in a power state, in creativity, and even if it's not like rah, it might just be space. Like some of my greatest ideas have come from just sitting under a tree. Not much was going on, totally relaxed. When we're relaxed, we can receive the messages from the universe. If you're dysregulated, you're pushing them away. So you can't even hear like what people call spirit or the whisperers or creative intelligence talking to you because there's so much noise up here. How are you going to hear? Right.
Yeah.
And so if you will take the time to regulate, then create, then your creativity is coming from a space of wholeness, a space of possibility. And your state of being creates your results. So then that's when you can start that traction, getting that constant or consistent increase of creativity, revenue, all the things. That's where we can start building wealth. But dysregulation, people who are dysregulated oftentimes are doing boom and bust. Because they're super, at least my people, because my people are very creative. So they can figure it out. They can figure out how to like rally the troops and make something go, but they always end up poof back down again.
Yeah.
That's one of them. Because like if you're not highly creative, oftentimes you're kind of really stuck, like in a depressive state, don't want to leave the house, on welfare, that kind of stuff, right? But if you've got some creativity, you've been able to kind of outcreate some of that, but still you're not creating that. You're not able to give yourself the foundation.
Well, and you're not just on this upward kind of trajectory of like, I'm just progressing a lot, you know what I mean? Versus like to your point, but I think that also mimics what we see just societally too. I mean, our whole universe is dysregulated.
Right. That comes back to what you said at the beginning. Let's regulate the world, man. Like the whole thing where like our politicians are going to push a button and blow shit up. Like that's complete dysregulation. You know, like who does that? Who even thinks that that is a good idea, you know? But it isn't, and it's not thoughtful, right? But that's the point. Is as long as you're living in reaction to your nervous system, you're living in either a victim or villain mentality. Right? Kill or be killed. That's survival. And I believe that this awakening that we're seeing happening right now is actually the transition from living in the primal survival state into the thriving power states. I really do think at a biological level, it's a switch from living from one part of our brain to another part.
No, absolutely. And I think, you know, and I also, you know, like, yeah, it's a rise in our consciousness. It's like we're going to be more in our heart center. You hear a lot of the concept of the heart mind coherence. You might hear that term a lot out there, but that comes with a regulated nervous system. Like you can't listen to your heart if you're dysregulated and you're on overload.
Beautifully said. Yeah, you can't. You can't even access heart knowing.
Yep.
You can't have empathy. You can't even have empathy for yourself.
No, you're so spot on. No, your work is incredible. And I know you have a new program that's launching in the 18th of August, which I'm excited to be partnered up with you to share the program out. We want to get this regulation out to the world. And it's just, I think, a mass awakening that we're all being a part of, and your work is an instrumental part of that. So do you want to tell the audience more about what that program is and what that entails?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the reset program I did in May. And this is essentially sort of an evolution of that, where we're taking that program and applying it to money.
Okay, awesome.
So we're part two. So that part was getting the nervous system basically relaxed, calmer, so you're not getting triggered all the time, right?
Yes.
This part is about mobilizing the healthy part of your nervous system to come into creativity, to move into your life and create your life in a more healthy, relaxed, inspired way. I would say that in terms of this evolution of consciousness of survival to thriving, money's at the heart of that, because most people have used money in a survival-based way.
Yes.
And money was only ever invented to help us exchange goods and services. We've made that the end all be all. We've put all of our eggs in that basket. And the truth is, money is just a beautiful partner. The partner with us in creating the difference we came to make in this world. And so we're in this program, this 5-week program, we're going to release and clear and discharge the survival energy around money that's locked in our nervous systems. And we're going to connect our nervous systems in a healthy way to money, in a creative, proactive way to money. And if you have struggled with money, or you've got that boom and bust going on, or you have money and you're just like contracted around it all the time, this program is going to help undo that. And I think I'm really excited to really see like the people, especially the people who've done like years and years of work and it hasn't changed much. Like, I'm so excited for you guys to come. The thing about it is that it's never too late to change your money story.
Nope.
If it doesn't feel like right, or there's this great saying, it's like, it's all okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Like wherever you are on your journey to recovering financial well-being, this is an important aspect of it. And it's way beyond mindset work. And we will do some rewiring and some mindset tools, but after we get you into that power brain, and so that we can start setting up a new neural network that can receive and create and be powerful with money instead of powerless. So that's what this program is. And I've made it super low cost so that anybody that really wants to play can play. Like, people spend more on lattes in a month than this program is by far.
Yeah, that'll dysregulate you too, but I love mine. So I'll take
I love mine too. I love mine too. I'm really, really excited because it's time. It's time for us to heal this. It's time for the healers and the sensitives and the blueprint for this earth that they have to come to this earth. But if you stay dysregulated, no one will ever know about your gifts. And I think we need those gifts. I'm not very biblical, but there are a few things in the Bible that sort of resonate with me. And one is the meek shall inherit the earth. And what I take that to mean, and if you look up the definition of what meek meant back then, meek meant the people that had supernatural powers. And so that is what I think is part of the transition from the sort of egoic rah to the people who have the tenderness and the sensitive, and the people who can kind of read the future and the past and everything that's going on, and they have a different blueprint for this earth. And we need you, and we need you not to spin out in money problems anymore. So come play.
Well, and to really step into those gifts that they were given. When I think of like, we are the most magical creatures that are on this earth. Like when you say, what is the original meaning of meek? And I always think of like, how do we all become, I love analogies, but like the Harry Potters, like we're all here to be the wizards and the magicians and to tap in. And we don't even know yet. I think we're on that precipice of really stepping into kind of that next phase of the human evolution of what are we truly capable of? Because I think we have more gifts than we even, I think, really know that we have. And we're kind of trying to step through that veil. When you were talking about that egoic or rising in that consciousness, or however people term it, that's really, it's to step into more of our divinity, into more of our gifts, and to share that with the world. And so I know I'm going to be joining Megan. I love her work. I always, I was just thinking, I'm like, I need to do my 30-day reset again as we were sitting here, like where it's like, you can't stop the work. That's the other trick is you can't stop the work. Like it's
Right.
ever ongoing. And I need to loop back to some of the stuff just with what we were talking about today. So
Mhm.
always learning, always growing. But I'm going to be participating. I'd love to have, and I'll be sharing a ton in the next 2.5 weeks before this launches to get everybody that I know to participate. So we have just a large community. This is
Let's do
where you
it
can find
together.
your tribe. Like this is where like you're around like-minded people that speak a common language, and it very much feels like home every time I'm in a group that you've pulled together and be a part of. So I just feel honored to share, to be a part of sharing, and to build this community so we can just have a better earth and a better world. So
Yay. Let's regulate the world.
let's regulate the world. And we're going to start with this program right here. So, lots more information to come on my end. And reach out if you have questions. I'll direct you to her page where you can find this. But let's do this together. And Megan, as she said before, makes this very affordable. So this is a worthwhile investment to unlock things that are far beyond that, and you're not going to the bank to take out a loan. So reach out, have questions, and we are happy to share. And thank you so much for your time today, Megan. I so
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me get the word out.
You are so welcome. Happy to do it.
All right.
Okay.